Sounds good.
All right, Kevin back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I'm here with Nicky Billou. Nicky, welcome. So awesome to have you on the show today.
Kevin, man, thanks so much for having me. It's an honor to be here, brother. You're so fabulous.
Well, right back at you, man. Hey, do you remember how did you and I first get connected?
Yeah, so you may recall we both know a fella named Sachin Patel.
Yes, we do.
Um, and you were posting on Facebook, as you are wont to do, about some relationship related issue. It caught my eye because Sachin commented on it.
Okay.
And for whatever reason, that showed up in my feed because, you and I at the time were not connected. We didn't know each other. But I then went and I read the whole post, and I went and I checked you out, read a bunch of other posts. And I go, man, this guy sounds like he's my kind of dude. So I sent you a friend request, and then I kind of approached you after asking Sachin to make the introduction. And I said, hey, Kevin, um, I'd like to interview you on my podcast. If you recall, and I brought you on my
Yep.
podcast at that
Yep.
time. And then you brought me on yours. And then about a year and a bit later, I joined your ILC program,
Yep. Yep.
and have been learning from you and been mentored by you in the art of a relationship driven business. So that's
Yeah.
kind of how we got
Yeah.
to know each other. Yeah.
And what an awesome way to get connected, and what a testament right there to the power of right relationships, which of course what this podcast is all about. And that there was that common link between you and I, which was Sachin.
Yeah.
And and I can speak, personally around Sachin. I mean, he's just one of the most amazing guys who's using his business to make such a big impact in this world, who has such a
Yeah.
huge heart for service and just being of service to the people that his company serves and stuff. And so when you get connected that way, it feels like you just known each other for years because you have this common friend that you already both have just so much admiration and respect for and stuff.
Yes.
And when what a great way to start a new relationship and stuff. And
Yep.
so
I agree.
what I'm going to do is we're going to kind of get into a deep conversation today, but I'm just going to start off with a nice, simple, easy question to start. Well, maybe it's easy. What do you do, Nikki, and who do you serve?
Um, Kevin, I am in the business of serving service driven entrepreneurs, folks who are, I would call them thought leaders, authorities, experts. They tend to be business coaches, executive coaches, business consultants. Sometimes they're um, relationship coaches and consultants. Generally speaking, they use the knowledge in their head and in their heart to be of service to other people. And primarily, the folks I work with tend to be freedom oriented, seeking to make a difference. So they're heart oriented as well. And they're really good at what they do. They've been in business for a period of time. So these are not usually brand new people in the business world,
Okay.
but maybe their understanding of how to um, get their message out there, get their um, get their business to grow, to sign up clients, to make sales, to be seen and visible to the people that need to know them isn't great.
Okay.
And they really want to be seen. They want to be known. They want to be respected for who they are and what they're able to do. And they want to get good at getting clients. And so what we do is we help them do all of that. So they're seen, they're visible, they're respected for what they do, and they're able to
Yeah.
get a lot of clients and grow and scale from that point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know, one of the things you do, and one of the things that you yourself are really damn good at is getting on podcasts. How many podcasts
Yeah.
have you been on now, Nikki?
Somewhere over 1,000, brother.
A
Yeah,
few.
it's pretty crazy. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I know.
and
Yeah,
so and so one of the things that you do is you show other people how to get on podcasts and stuff, but not
yeah,
just
yeah.
getting
That's one
on.
of our strategies. Yeah,
Yeah, that's one of the things. Yeah. And
yeah,
but a lot of times people think that, like, oh, just getting on the podcast is good enough if I just get on podcasts, but we need to be a little bit more
yeah,
intentional about it than that and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
And and speak to that a little bit, because yeah, getting on
Sure.
podcasts is one thing, but what's the purpose of that?
Well, let me tell you a bit about my story of why I started to go on
Yeah.
so many podcasts because I didn't do it just for fun, as it
Yeah.
were. So, um, as you know, I'm Canadian and I live in Toronto. And during the time of the COVID scamdemic, Canada kind of really bought into the whole narrative hard and locked down really hard. And our business at the time was primarily a in-person events driven business. So we would
Okay.
have these 3-day in-person events, which were a combination of workshop, love fest, and motivational program designed to do all the things that I talked about earlier.
Okay.
And what would end up happening is people would come to those events, they would have an incredible experience with us, and then we would offer to enroll them into our higher end year-long high ticket masterminds.
Okay.
Okay. And it worked really well for us, because this is a people driven type of a business, right?
Mhm.
When people feel that beautiful energy and whatnot, they're just more open to
Yes.
wanting to make that sort of decision rather than if they see a digital post somewhere on social media that says, join my program for 50 grand. You know
That's
what I
right.
mean? So when that all disappeared, um, I was freaking out, Kevin. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
what am I going to do here? Like,
And by the way, I
our
was in the same
business
boat because I was doing a bunch of events going into 2022, and like that came to an end.
to an end, to a heart. And you live in
Now.
Washington State, which is
Yeah.
another one of these like wokish places that lock down hard. You weren't in, South Dakota or Florida where they kept the place open, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it was so I'm like thinking to myself here that I need a solution. So I approached my uh, business coach at that time, a guy by the name of Mark Von Musser. And Mark
Okay.
was Tony Robbins' director of sales training and coaching. And I just told him, Mark, man, I'm freaking out here. What are we going to do? Because like $500,000 just walked out the door and I don't know what to do. And Mark is really good at staying calm. He's a military man. So he just said, okay, relax. Let me think for a minute.
Mhm.
And he goes into these Buddha-like trances. And here I am, agitated and
Yeah.
impatient. And here he is, calm as Zen. So after what seemed like an eternity, he said, I got it. And I said, okay. He said, why don't we have you go on other people's podcasts, but not to get likes and followers and visibility alone, but to actually build relationships and get lead sales clients. I'm like, great, because I was ready to try anything. How do we do that? And he said, and I quote, this is a verbatim quote, I have no freaking idea, but we will figure it out together.
Mhm.
So one of my clients had told me about a program that had an AI powered platform that would match podcast guests with hosts. And they had like 15,000 podcast hosts and equal number of guests.
Okay.
So it was like a podcast dating service, as it were.
Okay.
And I at the time I could sign up for the high end program for like $50 a month or something. It's a little bit higher now, not much, but um, maybe it's 65 right now, but it was like 50
Okay.
bucks a month. And I'm like, okay, $50 a month, this is nothing. I'm signing up.
Mhm.
And so because this algorithm led platform could match you up with as many as six shows every 6 hours,
Holy
which means
cow.
theoretically, every 6 hours, if I went into my account and I checked my matches and I responded in another 6 hours, there'd be six more. So, Kevin, I went crazy. So in the first 30 days, I went on 100 podcasts.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So yeah, so this was an average
I was
of,
doing the math here in my head, Vinny, and you were doing some serious podcasting, man.
yeah. So it was three and a bit a day,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Three and a third shows a day on average. There were days where I did like 8 shows, man. Like, you know what I'm
Wow.
saying? So it was like intense. But you know, the bad news was that I was not getting any new relationships or leads or sales or clients.
Okay.
But the good news was I was learning a ton about how to be a guest on a show.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know, it was like going into the gym and doing the reps. And I also had my secret weapon and my coach Mark, who did debriefs with me every single day. And by the time we got to show 101, I had done long format, short format. I'd done direct calls to action. I'd done indirect calls to action. Um, I had completely revamped my approach about 2 dozen times. But it just, things were starting to click. You know what I mean? They were just starting to
Mhm.
click. And I didn't fully get it. But show 100 comes along, it's over. And I call Mark and we talk. And then we both at the same time, like, we got it. And he said to me, and I said to him, stop focusing on the audience. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. A lot of these guys are, the hosts are my perfect ideal client.
Mhm. Mhm.
And that was a big aha.
Mhm.
So the other thing that we learned was when I come on the show, I got to focus on delivering inspiration to the audience because that's the only way the host is going to feel good about having me on the show.
Sure.
Right. So I got to be good at like delivering energy, power, inspiration to the audience. And I need to be a thoughtful individual who can speak in complete sentences and paragraphs and deliver concepts in a way that makes sense to people, but also gets them to engage their thinking faculties.
Mhm.
I got to be inspirational. I got to be valuable, and I got to be a good educator.
Mhm.
So we kind of figured that I could do that with a few tweaks. I could be amazing at that every time. So that was the first intention, is always inspire the audience.
Okay.
The second intention was, and this is really important, was that it was my job to make the host look good and
Mhm.
feel good about bringing me on the show,
Mhm.
right? Because if you think about it, Kevin, like you in putting on your podcast, you are putting in time and your time's valuable, right?
Mhm.
You got a business you're running, you got a family, you got a lot of things you could be doing with your time. So your time's valuable. Your energy is also valuable. And let's face it, Kevin, you and I are not 22 anymore. So we got to make sure we put our energy into things that give us a good return, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
aren't a waste of energy. When you're 22, you can get a few mulligans. At our
Yeah.
at our age of life, you're not going to get too many mulligans, right?
No.
No. So and finally, you're spending money. I mean, Kevin, you've got a team that you pay to
Yeah.
produce this podcast. So
Yeah.
it's my job to be cognizant of all that and to ensure that when I come on the show, I make you as the host think, I'm glad I had this guy on.
Yeah.
Wow, he was terrific.
Yeah.
Man, he's gonna elevate my brand, not bring it down. This was a good call for me.
Yeah.
People are gonna listen to the show and they're gonna reach out to me and they're gonna go, that guy was great, bring him back. And that was part of my goal, is I want every host to think I want this guy back. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like,
Mhm.
so that was kind of my goal, right? That was my second intention. So inspire the audience, make the host look good.
Mhm.
But then there was the third intention. And this is where I would argue, Kevin, that most of your guests probably have intention one and two. Would you agree? Most of them,
Totally.
They got
Totally.
that down, right?
Yep.
It's not that that is not in their consciousness, right? If they didn't have that down, they probably wouldn't make it past
That's right.
your BS detector, right? They
Yeah.
wouldn't. But this is where this third intention nobody had. And I mean nobody. And this was what became my secret sauce. And my third intention was I'm on the show to develop a relationship with you, the host, and not any relationship, but a business relationship.
Mhm. Mhm.
I need to speak to you in such a way that by the end of our conversation, you are thinking several things all at once. Number one is you're thinking, wow, I had no idea about the things that I talked about on the show.
Mhm.
And two is you're thinking, what he's talking about applies to me and or my circle of influence, like my clients,
Mhm.
my peers, etc. And thirdly, I would like to have a follow-up conversation with this fellow about
Mhm.
how he does what he does to see if it can benefit me and or my circle of influence.
Mhm. Mhm.
So developing that business relationship and having my eye on that became the game changer for me because nobody else was doing that. And the way that I did it was really, if I may say so, quite ingenious and effective. So I come on the show, and even though it appeared that all I was doing was responding to the questions
Mhm.
that the host was asking, and I always made sure that I did certain things in a certain sequence to get across a certain narrative to the audience and especially the host. And you may have noticed that the first thing that I do is I tell my story in a way that gets you as the host to go, wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
wow. Like in your head, you're going, 1,000 shows, but he seems like just a regular dude.
Yeah.
Because that's important too. You don't want to seem like you're elevated above everybody. That's terrible, right?
Yeah.
And secondly, and you and I, we know each other, so you know me. But for most hosts, they'd also be going, "Oh my God, yeah, that's me. I had that, or I have that now." This not being able to get clients that way, not being able to get enough of people to see me and because that's me now. And by the end of me telling my story and a few other stories that I share on the show in a particular way, you, the host, will be thinking to yourself, it is really worth my time to have a conversation with this guy.
Yes.
So when this is over, and normally if I'm coming on with someone I've never met before, unlike you, I'd ask them, how long are we going for? And they tell me, and I go, can we make sure we have 5 minutes at the end just so I
Mhm.
can get to know you a little bit beyond the podcast?
Yeah.
Everybody is a yes to this. And if they've booked us right till the time they have their next meeting, I ask them to stop the podcast 5 or 10 minutes early, right?
Mhm.
And that was important because when I didn't do that, I'd get to the end and they didn't have time to have a conversation with
Yeah.
me, quite a few of
Yeah.
them. So we made sure we do that. And by the time we get to the end
That's,
of,
I just want to say that's nuance right there. And it's
yeah,
really valuable nuance for anybody
yeah,
listening to this. Cause that, like you said, so many of these you did, you got to the end and there was no time left because they had their next thing. But so once you figured that out, you made an adjustment. So now you had that 5 to 10 minutes to have that. I mean, and that's like super valuable right there. So I just want to make sure it didn't get glossed over, you know?
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you very much. So um, when the interview was over, if I'd been successful in doing the things that I intended to do, we'd both be smiling at the end of the show. And they go, that's great. And I go, you're great. And then I go, so you still got 5 minutes? Yep, I still got some time. So tell me, what do you do beyond the podcast? And then I shut up and I listen. And this is something that a lot of people don't understand. They are listening for when to interject.
Yes. Yes. Listening, waiting for their next turn to talk.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
I listen. And I listen intentionally and intensely.
Yeah.
So I look calm and quiet, but like I got ear blinders on. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I'm listening to see if the way that I did the episode churned something inside the
Mhm.
host's thinking that makes them think it is worth my time to have a follow-up meeting. They're
Mhm.
not going to come out usually and say that. Although in some cases they go, I think we should meet. Like I've
Mhm.
had that happen as well. But in
Mhm.
most cases, you got to listen between the words.
Mhm.
And I listen long enough for them to say what they need to say. And when they say what they need to say, I either will ask another follow-up question or I'll just say, may I offer a suggestion? And they'll go, sure. Of course, you may offer a suggestion. And my suggestion always is, would you like to have a follow-up conversation with me? Now, how I say that and how I set that up is really important. And it really depends on how our interaction after the show goes. So I can't tell you it's exactly the same each time because it is definitely not. But let's say the person said something along the lines of, well, I run a coaching business and it's really going great, but I'd really love to be able to like get a bunch more clients. Let's say they said that. And if they said that, then I'll say, may I make a suggestion? And they'll go, sure. And then I'd say something along the lines of, look, um, I believe that there are no accidents. It's not an accident that you and I got to meet today and have this conversation. You were sent to me for me to be able to have an opportunity to share my story, which is very important to me. And I was sent to you for you to be able to get some perspectives that could help transform this challenge you're having with getting clients. And then I'll ask him something like, do you believe that you're one great relationship away from a complete transformation in your life or your business? And they'll go, yes. And I said, this may be the
That's
one
good
relationship.
right there.
Yeah, this may be that one relationship. Would you let me give you half an hour of my time so that I can provide you with some perspectives and a blueprint to help you solve this problem as a gift from me to you for you being so generous to have me on the show.
Mhm.
Kevin, I have had 800 of these types of conversations.
Mhm.
I think one person said no. And
That
I'm
they
not
did
sure they
not
said
think
no.
that
No,
one.
they just were not in, they were not a yes. They were like,
Uh-huh.
no. Everybody else is, I'd be foolish not to.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
does everyone show up for the calls? No, but 80 to 85% do, which is pretty amazing.
That's
And
pretty dang good right there. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
pretty amazing. And then that becomes a discovery conversation
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
pretty much every instance. And now a lot of people are going to listen to this and they're going to go, okay, dang nabbit, I'm going to go on some shows. I'm going to do exactly what you told me.
Mhm.
And they're not going to do exactly what I told them. They're going to do what they think they heard that I told them,
That's
which has
right.
a lot
That's
of
right.
a lot of nuances, and requires that your podcast appearance be mapped out like General Patton hitting the Germans
That's
in the
right.
Battle of the Bulge.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is not an opportunity for you to wing it.
That's
If
right.
you wing it, you're not going to have what I just described to you happen
Yep.
for you.
Yep.
Your appearance on that other individual's podcast needs to be meticulously planned and executed. And
Yes.
when you get good enough at it, it'll be so seamless that everyone will think you're just talking
Yeah.
extemporaneously, but of course you're not.
Yeah,
You're not.
you got to get the reps in and not just doing it casually and fly by night kind of thing, but doing the reps following the proven system that already works and stuff. And like you said,
You got it.
not what I think I just heard Nicky say or what not, but just knowing the system and then just getting the reps in and becoming comfortable with that so that now it's just second nature. It's just you just do it,
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So, it's like someone watching a football game and, watching, Sam Darnold throw a touchdown pass and going,
yeah.
I can be an NFL quarterback.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
that's
you
it.
bet.
Yeah. Yeah, I got news for you. No, you
That's
are
right.
not ready to be an NFL quarterback.
That's right.
Maybe someday, but
Yeah.
not right now.
Yeah.
Right?
So
And
can I ask you another question? Because now I'm
yeah,
it's
of
got,
course.
so I'm sure you can come up with lots of great answers to this question. And but what is an example of a result that you have got from doing this that you're just incredibly proud of? Maybe I don't know, a new client, a partnership, something, so
Sure,
what
sure.
was, and like I said, I'm sure you got lots of examples. And maybe if you
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
share more than one, that's totally cool too.
I'll share one of mine and I'll share one of somebody I taught this to.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
So I went on a podcast with a man who was a Catholic business coach for men.
Okay.
So really, really cool concept. And we had a great, um, great podcast together. And by the end of the show, I booked a time to speak with him. He he worked with his wife. He got his wife on the call with me after he and I spoke. I brought Teresa on the call. He and I built a relationship over that podcast. And then we had a follow-up call with one another, and we had another follow-up call with his wife. And I enrolled him in our eCircle Academy quarterly immersion. And then
Okay.
he and his wife enrolled for a year-long mastermind. And this was
Okay.
strictly out of me going on his podcast. Now,
Very
I'll
good.
tell you a story about, I mean, earlier today, you were on my eCircle Academy kind of weekly group call for our
Mhm.
clients, and you met a few of our clients there. So there was a fellow you may have seen who had kind of longish hair and a beard, kind of looked a
Yep.
little bit like Jesus.
Yep.
So his name is Mathieu. He's Belgian. He lives in the Azores. English is not his first language. I think it's his. He just told me it's his fifth or sixth language,
Oh,
which blew me.
wow.
It was his fourth. Okay, you know, he speaks English very well for
Pretty
someone.
good, man.
It's his
Yeah.
fifth or sixth language, right?
Yeah.
um, but you know, Dutch, French, German, uh, those are languages he learned before he learned English. So Mathieu came and he was one of my first students learning about how to be a guest on a podcast.
Okay.
And within the first week of me teaching him what to do, he went on a podcast, and the first podcast he went on, he enrolled someone in one of his coaching programs.
Wow.
And he teaches regenerative um, land use, like
Well,
farming.
after being on the call this morning and hearing him talk, I Googled him and went and
You know,
checked. I was like, wow, this is really interesting what he does.
he's a very interesting dude, and you got to see him speak on stage. He is magic on stage, like he is dynamite. He's the guy I told you about before who wears an Armani suit and flip flops when he goes and he
Okay.
does his
Okay.
talks. So it's kind of his signature trademark. That's how you know who he is. The dude with the suit and the flip flops, right?
Uh-huh.
That's
Perfect.
yeah, it really is. So doesn't speak English perfectly. First appearance, got a sale. And within 84 days, he made 124,000 euros in
Okay.
sales
Okay.
learning
Okay.
this stuff. So it's, you don't need to be somebody who's super articulate or super high energy
Yeah.
like me. You can be a guy who English is your fifth or sixth language.
Yeah.
It'll still work. It'll still work.
That is awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome.
And I mean, you met the guy today, right?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
an interesting cat, to say
Yeah.
the least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So now that we've got some context set here, I want to switch gears just a little bit. I'm going to start talking about the relationship side of this in a little bit more detail.
Sure,
So,
sure, sure.
Nikki, have you ever been introduced to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And I'm just really excited to hear your experience around this topic of relationships.
Yeah, several people. So in In 2009, I was married, and seemingly out of the blue, my then wife decided she didn't want to be married to me anymore.
Okay.
And I sank into a pit of depression. And uh, Kevin, I was sleeping on my mother's couch and I wasn't really working for a while. One of my friends introduced me to a man named Owen Williams, who was a relationship coach for men.
Okay.
And he specialized in working with men who were going through what he called relationship distress. And um, I worked with Owen very intensively for about a 2 year period.
Okay.
Because of Owen, I did not sink deeper into that pit of despair. I overcame my depression. Um, I was able to not put my marriage back together, but I was able to at least have us be nice to each other and
Mhm.
raise our sons to win in life. And because of the work with Owen, I met Teresa, who I've been with for 15 years now, who's the love of my life. And, we work together. If not for Owen, I don't know what would have happened, but I promise you it would not have ended up as well as it did.
Yeah.
The impact on me and my ex would probably not have been that great. The impact on my kids would not have been great. And I don't think I'd have been able to attract someone like Teresa into my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Owen Owen is a man that I owe a tremendous amount to, and sadly he's dying of cancer right now. And he lives far away from me. He lives on Vancouver Island. He doesn't live anywhere near me anymore. So I can't readily and easily go see him. I offered to go see him, but he was not very, he didn't seem to want that,
Mhm.
you know? So that's kind of one such relationship,
Yeah.
and I think I've spoken to you of my two sons. My eldest son is 20 years old, and he is absolutely on a path in his life. He's working 90 hours a week. He loves what he does. He's he's got money in the bank. He's investing cash, and he's learning how to make his way in the world. And that's fantastic. My youngest son is about to graduate high school. I mean, he's a few weeks away from that. He's going to go to university. He's got a job lined up for the summer. And, he's got a lovely young woman as his girlfriend. He's got a little side business he does in the summer detailing cars.
Okay.
All that flows from Owen Williams.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Wow.
huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
huge. That is huge.
Yeah.
I remember when you and I were talking about you joining the Impact and Legacy Collective group, and you were like, Kevin, I really like what you have to say, and what I feel this is a really good fit for me, but I also, I don't want to do anything without Teresa's blessing, and would you be willing to have a conversation with just me and Teresa both and stuff, and meet Teresa, let her meet you? And I was like, absolutely. And that was such a awesome experience. And Nicky, it just spoke volumes about who you are and the value that you place on the relationship that you and Teresa have. Yeah, no.
Thank you.
And 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 like even this morning being on that call where you guys were there serving your clients and stuff, and just watch the interaction between you guys, between you and Teresa, and how I mean it's really brilliant to watch. It is really brilliant to watch you two in
Thank you.
service of your clients,
Thank you.
and how you just support one another, and it's so it's just really brilliant to watch it because it just flows so easily, so organically. You guys just both of you just complement each other and stuff,
Thank you.
and she, has amazing gifts to offer people too. And I know
Dude, she's ridiculous.
oh
Like,
man,
you, like, honestly, she may very well be one of the best one-on-one coaches on the planet. she's
Well, she's got a
she's
little
not
background in that.
she does, but you know, Teresa's not like I'm more into marketing and sales. She's really creative in other ways, but she's just, she hasn't really put her mind into sales and for a variety of reasons. And I do all that. But like once people are coached by her, even for like an hour or so, they're blown away by how good she is
Yeah.
at moving them through stuff. And today, I mean, you were on the call, you saw that there was one of our clients who's
Yep.
going through a hard time personally because of a family member, and
Yep.
it was really fresh in the moment there. Like the way she stepped in and just finessed all that,
Yep.
made it possible for me to handle that in a way that worked for that client.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I was loaded for bear to get all my clients to get into action because I'd noticed that they were really not in action and it was my job to get them into action, right? And I see that as a big part of my job. But that's not what this gal needed, not in that moment,
Yeah.
not at all. Quite
Yeah.
the opposite. So it
Yeah.
was great that she was a part of that and made that work for everybody.
Well, and Teresa even told her, "Hey, let's make time for you and I to connect one on one too." You know,
Yeah,
and she
yeah,
was like, "Oh, I'd really appreciate that."
yeah, yeah.
And
It was a nice
yeah,
moment. It was a nice
yeah,
moment.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you, Nikki, I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation today. And for anybody that's listening to this going, man, Kev, I really like Nicky. I love who he is and how he shows up. But dang, he shared some stuff that's really got me thinking now. And maybe they're thinking like, man, maybe I should be talking with Nicky, or you know what, I know of somebody else that I should connect with Nicky. Any websites, any resources we can share with folks?
Yeah, I'm the only Nicky Billou on planet Earth. So if you go anywhere on social media and you just type in my name at Nicky Billou, NickYBillou, and you just say, "Hey man, I heard you on Kevin's podcast," I'll respond positively.
Okay. Okay.
And if you want to have a conversation with me, best thing to do is to go to my main website because I got a few, but the main website's called eCircleAcademy.com, and there's
Okay.
a book a call button. So again, just go in there. There's a little application form to fill out, but if on that form again you say that I'm coming to you from Kevin's podcast, um, I'll I'll automatically take you regardless of what you put on the form. All right.
Okay. Okay. Nikki, any last thing that you feel led to share before we call it a wrap?
Great question. You know, I got a final story.
Okay.
Um, so 8 years ago, I was introduced to this woman who was from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. And she was the country director for one of the world's oldest and largest personal development firms. If I tell you the name, you'll know who it is. And she has asked that I don't because she wants her identity kind of. She told me I can tell the story but not reveal her identity. So, um, what happened was she brought a fellow on to help her run the company, and at first it was great. They were moving things forward. It was kind of like Steve Jobs back in the day bringing John Scully on board to help him run Apple, right? At first, it was just like them. It was going really, really well. But again, like Jobs and Scully, after about a year, their visions of the future started to diverge and they started to clash. And there was a board of directors involved, just like Apple. And the board of directors sided with him and kicked her out of the company, just
Wow.
like Steve Jobs got kicked out of Apple.
Mhm.
A lot of people, how the hell do you get kicked out of a company you start? Well, if you have a board of directors, very easily.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
very easily. And she apparently for 18 months was completely lost and bereft. And anyways, someone who knew us both introduced her to me. So again, a relationship situation, right?
Mhm.
And so she came and she told us the story, and I could tell that she was hurting, and I could also tell that we could help her. So I enrolled her in coming to work with us.
Okay.
And anyways, we helped her get her mind clear on who she was going to help because this was entirely new for her, right? Like she wasn't running that firm anymore. So she started a coaching program for high-level entrepreneurs worth at least a $10 million a year company who were like burnt out.
Okay.
And in our first month, she signed up like 10K worth of clients, which for her was great because she'd
Yep.
done nothing for 18 months. And then in her second month, she did 12K, which was great. And in her third month, she did 18K, which was
Nice.
great. But in her fourth month, she went supernova. She did $62,200.
Wow. Wow.
This was the fastest at the time, the fastest. We've had people surpass it since, but 4 month sprint to
Mhm,
that level
mhm,
that
mhm.
we'd ever seen from anybody. And anyways, so she lives in Ottawa. I live in Toronto. It's a 5 hour drive.
Okay.
And my eldest son at the time was 12. He's 20 now. And he played soccer and he had a tournament in Ottawa. So we're driving to Ottawa. And on the way there, I call her up and I go, oh, yo, Julie, that's not a real name. Julie, we're coming to see you in Ottawa. You want to bring your son to come meet with me and my son to watch him play. And her son was my son's age, 12.
Okay.
And she said, sure. So they come, we win the tournament, which was super fantastic. And then we have lunch. Kids get along. She and her son go home. Me and my son drive home. Everything's great. 4 weeks later, we're having one of our quarterly branded thought leader immersion events in Toronto. And we were at the point, Kevin, where we were doing our enrollment opportunity for our year-long program, right?
Mhm.
Which at the time was $40,000. And anyways, the way I do it, Kevin, and I think you're going to really like this, is I don't really do it. I kind of start to say, okay, I want to tell you what's next. But rather than me tell you why it's so great, let's ask some of our people.
Mhm.
And so I usually go, who'd like to share and pick on somebody. This time, um, I didn't have a chance to say who'd like to share. She just bounded up on stage as soon as I said who'd like to and almost knocked me on my butt. Now, Kevin, I was like 210 pounds at the time. I'm a little lighter now, but, and she's like 105 pounds soaking wet, right?
Wow.
so,
Wow.
so she like almost knocked me like flat.
She's like a freight
I'm like,
train coming in.
yeah, man. And I'm like, okay, all right, no problem. I'll stand back. So I'm standing behind her and I'm looking at the back of her head because I'm about 4 or 5 feet behind her. And she has got her hands on her hips and she's like kind of gazing across the room. And she's saying nothing for like what seems like an eternity. And I'm like, okay, any moment now in my head, right? And then I see her shoulders go like this, hunch up. I'm like, what's going on? And then I heard a sound, a sob. I'm like, oh no, she's crying. And Kevin, I mean, you're a man. Me, when I hear a woman cry and I don't know why, I automatically assume I did something wrong. It's where I go. That's why she's crying. I did something wrong. And I'm like, why is she crying? Oh my God, this is a disaster. That's what was going through my head. Like, anyways, Teresa, thankfully, saw what was happening, came up with a box of tissues, and she gratefully grabbed a few. And then she turns around, puts her arm around me, and pulls me forward. And I'm trying to look cool, man, but I'm telling you, inside, I am anything but cool. I'm agitated, you know. So she starts to speak between her sobs and her tears because she's still crying. She said, Nicky, when you and your little son came to visit me and my little son in Ottawa, my little boy started jumping up and down and saying, Mommy, Mommy, who are we going to go meet? Who are we going to go meet? You know how 12-year-olds get, Kevin. You've had 12-year-olds, right? So, and she's trying to calm him down. She goes, oh, sweetie, we're going to go meet Nicky, Billou, and his son. And she said to me that in that moment, her son got really quiet sitting in the back seat. So much so that she's like, "What's going on? Why is he so quiet?" She goes, "Sweetie, are you okay?" And the little boy looks at his mom, you know, and goes, "Mommy, are we going to go meet the man who saved our family?"
Oh my gosh.
So, Kevin, you know me a little bit, yes? You probably would not call me a weak man, a man easily rattled. It's fair to say, right?
Yep. Yep.
Kevin, I started to bawl like a little girl.
Mhm.
like I just cried, and we both hugged. And then in between her sobs while we're hugging, she said, "Nicky, you didn't know this, but when I first came to see you, I hadn't worked in 18 months, and I'm the breadwinner in our family. My husband's an artist. He's like a photographer. I bring in the money. We had not paid the bank our mortgage in months, and they were about to
Wow.
foreclose on our home. And my husband and I were fighting in front of our three sons like cats and dogs.
Wow.
And our boys were scared out of their minds that our family was about to break up.
Yeah.
And they did not want that to happen. But then I met you, and you helped turn around my financial situation, and I paid off the mortgage, and we stopped fighting about money or anything else. And I told my sons that you were the one who was helping us. You were the one who helped us save our family. And so, Kevin, we both cry. Everybody goes, "Aw." And the energy in the room had, it was magic. I
Mhm.
don't know how to explain it. It was magic.
Yeah.
And normally I call on two or three people. I made an executive decision. I was not calling on anybody else.
Mhm.
And I asked Teresa to hand out the registration forms to all the new people. There were 8 new people in the room. And Kevin, up until that point, I had some people say yes and fill out the forms. Some people said, "Nope, no, thank you. Here's your form back." And some people kind of go, "Well," and I'd have to go sit down with them and get them off the fence one way or another, right? For the first time, all 8 people enrolled on the spot.
Wow.
No conversation. No conversation required. All 8 people enrolled on the spot. And there had been 2 of those 8 people who had come to me prior and said, "Nicky, I know there's an enrollment opportunity coming, and I don't want to offend you, but I am not taking it. So, just want to let you know so you don't get upset." Not that I was going to get upset, but they were the first 2 to hand in their forms. Our
Yeah.
first 2. And the one guy was really highly agitated and said, just slammed it in my chest. "Here you go." I'm like, okay. And he said, "I told you I wasn't going to enroll in your goddamn enrollment opportunity." I said, "Yeah, you did. So why'd you change your mind? Because I sure as hell didn't put a gun to your head."
Yep. Yep.
And he looked at me, and I thought he was going to cry or punch me or both, Kevin. And he said, "Here's the truth. I need help. I've just been burned too many times by people who are full of shit.
Yep. Yep.
And what just happened here showed me maybe you're not as completely full of shit as everybody else."
Mhm.
I mean, I'll take it.
Yep.
It was
Yep.
not the most gracious compliment I've ever received, but what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah.
And in that
Yep.
moment, Kevin, um, I realized, I realized that I'm not just running a business. I'm on a mission from God
Yeah.
to serve Him and to help people that He, for whatever reason, decides to put on my path. And I will not know who these people are or they're supposed to be. The people I think I should have, probably I won't. And the people that I have no idea I should have, I probably will.
Yeah.
And that is the last thing I want to leave your people with is you never know who you're supposed to help.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
never do. And
That's
if you
right.
keep your eyes and ears open, they'll come to your doorstep in the most unbelievable way.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Nicky, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation today. Man, what a powerful story to end the conversation with. And um, I really appreciate you, and I really appreciate you sharing. I'm excited to get this out here and share it with folks and stuff. So thank you so much, man.
Right back at you, man. I tell everybody when I speak of you that you're one of the best human beings I've ever known. And we're living in a world and in an industry where not everybody is genuinely concerned about helping people, but you very much are. And I love and appreciate that about you, pal.
Well, I love and appreciate you guys too. All
Thank you.
right, we're going to get this out there and share it with folks.